Hello.
Hi.
I no longer have a beard.
Chris, you're bearded? Oh, okay. Never mind. I
Nice to
answered my
False,
question.
false advertising. False advertising.
Dude, I need
Jordan is too late.
Dude, I need a shave, right?
No. You're trying to do basic. Right?
It's still just a shitty neck with a really weird, creepy mustache. No, I already have a long braid before. Oh my god. No.
I'll lend you a
For the
katana.
love of God, no. I would look like every internet troll ever. And some basketball shorts.
Wait.
Get some basketball shorts, knee-high socks, fucking tennis shoes, and then a UMass. I used to have a UMass. Yeah. Or no, maybe it was other UMass. Do you even lift? No, it was UMass, bro. I wasn't a shitty human being. It was a UMass bro shirt, and then get like a fucking vest, and then a fedora. Dude, oh my god, I would look like such a shitty human being. Oh god.
Freaking check. Decisions when you were young.
But I've never realized that me having a mustache is like I never realized how bothering a long mustache would have because I had like the peach fuzz mustache but now I have it to where it's like the hairs are so long that they're like fucking with me when I'm eating, and it's really weird.
You need to groom that.
Or just need to fucking shave it. Fuck that shit.
You groom it like have you ever seen Zeppelin in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures?
God damn
That'd
it.
be great.
No, I've never seen that. I've never seen any JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Ian, a residential weeb.
Okay.
You just took Chris's segue.
Shut the fuck up, that never happened.
Well, I have a question then. When was like the first time about like the Marvel universe?
Ian,
Yeah?
The late introduction.
Yeah. I'm sure. Okay, so in that case, Chris or really anyone, I just imagine Chris.
I was the same, pretty much the same, except not because I liked the retro stuff, but because we were poor. Could only get the retro stuff.
I feel that. Do you remember? Okay, in that case, Chris, do you remember that one really shitty Incredible where it was just like a big guy and he was green?
I know what you're talking about, but no, I never saw that. Actually.
So
I think the memes.
oh, it was like the shittiest version of Hulk ever. But that wasn't the first time I Marvel Universe because I used to have that was in my room. But that was like, from what I remember, that was the first movie I ever watched of Marvel Universe, from what I remember. And dude, when I first saw that, I loved the movie. Like, it was a good movie to me. But and then the proper Incredible Hulk came out, and I was like, what in the fuck did I watch before this? And
So you
then
didn't have like nostalgia effect.
I didn't have the nostalgia effect. What?
where like when you think about it in the past, you think it was good. You rewatch it now that you're older and you're
Oh,
nope,
dude, I
this
would
is
never
trash.
rewatch it. I just remember the movie, and I remember how shitty. And like, I don't want to watch it again, but like, if I did get the nostalgia effect from, but um, I don't know. I just when I first watched the Incredible Hulk after that, it was more of just like disgust by that's what like before like we had Star Wars before then, right? And then you have this shit that was just a guy that was green essentially, and like I don't know, it just didn't feel like that much.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Of what movie?
Or I didn't hear you
The
right.
Hulk.
The Hulk? Yeah, I remember that. I was. It sounded so familiar. I was like, wait a minute, it's
It sounds familiar, but I
Incredible
don't.
Hulk.
It
Yeah, it was,
Yeah, he like extracts all a bunch of different animals, just like
that
DNA
sounds
and everything.
familiar, but
crap.
I feel like I'm also getting some Doctor Ock. No, not Doctor Ock. What's his name? No, not Doc Ock, because Doc Ock didn't have miss a limb. He just like he yeah. Um, I'm thinking about Doc Croc. I'm thinking about Doc Croc. Yeah, remember what I'm talking about? Like when he was like when they're fucking with like the lizards and stuff that could grow back their limbs, and then he used the DNA from that to kind of regrow back a limb, and it was going well at first, and then it went horribly bad.
Ugh,
That was
Croc.
Spider-Man 2, or was that was a different
Damn,
Spider?
I don't even remember it.
It was the Amazing Spider-Man.
Was it? Yeah, it was Amazing Spider-Man. That's right. Yeah,
Amazing Spider-Man, the first Amazing Spider-Man.
yeah, and then the second Amazing Spider-Man, the electric guy. I don't remember his. And then, but the original Spider-Man series, it was Doc Ock, and then it was the Green Goblin, the first one, and then the second Green Goblin, his best friend Harry. Can we just one sec?
Damn, there's so much.
Let me make sure I get this name right.
Please don't.
Fucking Bing, dude. Whoever uses Bing can like have cancer. I'm kind of being forced to use it right now because I'm too late.
All about Internet Explorer. Bing on Internet Explorer. That's when you've reached full. Just. That's when you've peaked.
Dude, can we just talk about how James Franco is like a pirate? He was in Spider-Man 2, and he looks the exact same. There you go, William Dafoe. Sorry. Do you guys know who that is?
Sounds
So
familiar, but
he
I
he
can't
was
think
the,
of him
he
right.
was the dad. He was the original Green Goblin before Harry, and he died because of the original series.
Amazing.
No, it wasn't
No,
the
it's
Amazing.
not amazing. It's not
Yeah,
amazing.
It
I'm
was
wrong.
just
I'm wrong.
Spider-Man. Okay, I can break this down easily. Tobey Maguire, perfect
Yep.
Peter Parker, perfect, horrible Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield, bad Peter Parker, but great Spider-Man. Okay, no.
Maguire made pizza sound. You
Tobey
can't
Maguire
argue
was a good
against
Peter
that.
Parker, bad Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield was a bad Peter Parker, but a great fucking Spider-Man. And then our current one, hold up, I always forget his fucking name. Tom Holland. Yeah, Tom Holland, great Peter Parker and great Spider-Man. I just think he's good. Oh yeah,
He's a great
easily.
representation of the comic book Spider-Man.
You think that's a controversial?
That movie Spider-Man.
Okay, can I explain why though? See, they can suck a dick. You know why? Okay, because Peter Parker is supposed to be nerdy. He's supposed to be geeky. He's not supposed to really. He's supposed to be like your short, stout little kid that like, or little guy that would usually be pushed around. true, but I'm not too worried. That is true. Well, okay, are we really surprised that they changed it though? Because that's all that Marvel has been doing recently. They've just been changing storylines. For instance, fucking uh, not Silver Surfer, for fuck's sake, Quicksilver isn't supposed to die during Age of Ultron. Hawkeye's supposed to die, but a lot of people, when Age of Ultron came out, they theorized that Hawkeye was gonna be the one that to kill Thanos, because the only reason why you keep Hawkeye alive in Age of Ultron is to have him kill Thanos, because in the storyline, he kills Thanos. He's the reason why he dies. He gets the final shot on him. But a lot of people now are like, no, it's Captain Marvel, no, it's Ant-Man, whatever it is. A lot of people don't think it's that way, which would kind of be pointless as to why you would kill Quicksilver. So some people think, it's because he's going to get the final shot on Thanos, and other people think that there's no reason for him to still be there. And some people think that he was literally there to die, and then Scarlet Witch would become who Scarlet Witch is, which is a badass motherfucker. Like, Scarlet Witch is dangerous as hell when she, like, after it all happened. Yeah, because she's been being like she's kept her morals straight because of the fact with the Vision, and after Vision died, a lot of it is like a lot of her is supposed to like die with him.
I haven't even been keeping up with any of this.
I mean, okay, I surround my DC fanboy, but we don't talk about that. But that was a really weird place to go with that. I don't even know where we came from. Essentially, I'm trying to figure out where the fuck we were before then. Hold on. Good. Fucking do it. Oh, I know. I fucking love ASMR.
Coming
Just
towards
did
me
it.
and
Fuck yeah. Anyway,
I'm sure.
a little ASMR break for you guys. Fucking the whole Marvel idea. Oh, that's right. We were at Spider-Man. The entire
Got
idea of the
derailed.
the entire idea.
Dude, which
I mean,
also reminds me, Captain Marvel was
I hear it's
originally
trash.
a man, but like they decided for the
Feminine.
person to be a woman. I haven't
Was
been
it
able to watch
actually
it. I was gonna go
good?
watch the premiere, but I didn't have time.
Ooh,
Okay,
I've seen it. Not I thought it was an alright movie. I think it's just because it's a Marvel movie. They can't really fuck up their movies. They're always at least entertaining. But I didn't really see too many faults in it. It was watchable. You thought so?
see what I hear about Captain Marvel is that it almost felt like they were trying to push an
Oh yeah,
agenda with it.
they definitely were.
That they were
Like
trying to push in a feminist agenda, and it's really interesting to hear that,
Sue character.
and it's really weird to hear that because for the past like few years, Marvel hasn't given a shit about any kind of outside public politically correct opinion.
Those movies were already being made before any controversy started. Like they had all these movies already thought out, played
You,
out for the story. They had time for this one.
you know what's really interesting is the fact that Captain Marvel is supposed to be a guy, right? And Captain Marvel is Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that so the general backstory, by the way, and just for the viewers and for anyone in here that doesn't know,
Me.
Captain Marvel was originally a DC character. But then Marvel sued DC because of Marvel. And so then Marvel took Captain Marvel and put it in their universe. So then DC, at some point, the entire thing got resolved, and then they both had Captain Marvel. But then DC renamed Captain Marvel to Shazam. So Shazam is actually Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel specifically, and then Captain Marvel in the Marvel universe is actually supposed to just basically be Shazam slash Captain, but in the universe. And so the
Damn.
fact that they changed it to one a female and also made it seem so like it's they yeah. But I don't know, I don't really care about the movie because I want to watch it just so that I have the end game, but I don't think that it's really that, because it almost feels like a pointless movie to throw in the mix this late into the, because you already have so many characters that can demolish Thanos. Even if you really want to go with the Captain Marvel, if she ends up doing nothing in the movie, by the way, I'm gonna be pissed, because at this point it's just gonna feel like I want to be surprised. Because yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go the 59-hour, which I'm pretty sure that they're gonna show. You want to pay $125 a ticket? I need someone to go with it, because I don't want to.
How does that work actually? Like, do you
Okay,
get
so
to
what?
sleep there?
So what happens? Okay, can I? Okay, so what happens? I'm really excited for it. It's like when I went to my first. It's it's them showing 59 hours of everything that's led up to Endgame, right? And what you're doing is you're sitting there watching all, and they tell you that you have to bring these few things: a toothbrush, toothpaste. You have to bring noise canceling headphones. You have to bring like an eye band, like eyewear, so that you can fall asleep during it, because you're not going to stay awake the entire time. And you also have to bring like something that you can sleep in or just sit in for like ever. They also tell you that there are restaurants nearby, that there are that there you're not allowed to take a shower because you can't, and you're allowed to leave, and like you can come back. Like, you're allowed to go in and out of the theater, because it's gonna be 59 hours. Like, if you have to go take a cigarette break, right? You kind of have to. And so it's gonna be fucking epic, dude. So it's gonna be this one big. This is gonna be like all over the world. It's gonna be
Marathon.
a marathon of just like this big sleepover, essentially, for 2 days straight. It's gonna be amazing.
Awesome.
Like, I'm excited as fuck,
Is
because
it-
I'm gonna buy a ticket, guaranteed.
Are they gonna
As
have
long-
intermissions, like where everybody can just leave to go eat or something,
Well, the
or is it
thing
just
is,
nonstop?
it's
Nobody-
not. I'm pretty sure it's not, because
Ooh.
59 hours by itself is excessive. Let alone if you had a couple intermissions. Because there's gonna be obviously Marvel movies. Yeah, it comes out in like 2 or 3 weeks. It comes out April 26th, and so it starts on April 23rd, and it ends on April 25th.
You better pick the movies you want to take a bathroom break.
Yeah, so essentially you're gonna be sitting there and you're gonna be like, okay, I like this movie, I'm gonna watch it, or oh, I don't like this movie, I'm gonna go to sleep, or I'm gonna go get something to eat, or whatever you want to go do. Just while so that's what's going on.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'm
Sounds fun,
really
though.
excited, dude. I'm super.
But if you get a bunch of fucking nerds in a fucking dark room, it's gonna be some kinky shit going on,
It's gonna be fucking hilarious. I can already guess that there's gonna be someone kicked out for doing something.
or just being fucking gross.
Probably.
Oh yeah, when the
Gonna be that one.
I just
beach
really
scene,
hope the
man.
usher comes over and he's like, "Can you go do that in the bathroom?"
when the Hulk scene is playing.
Oh yeah,
it's like
But yeah, no, like I
Like
really want
Natasha's there at first, and then like
the
the guy's like whole limp, and he's
the
just like, oh
problem is
no.
I'm pretty sure the 22nd. So the 23rd is a Tuesday, the 24th is a Wednesday, and the 25th is a Thursday. And then it comes out that Friday, and then we're gonna go see Endgame that Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is what we decided,
yeah.
since that'd be
And so
easier
we're
for
wait,
all of us.
Chris, are you gonna go with?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Oh, dope, dude! I'm gonna meet you.
Hell yeah. Don't
And
be too
so
disappointed.
I'll try. Try not to be disappointed with me. Um, dude, I'm excited. Like,
I'm already
you guys are
disappointed
gonna
with
see
how
me.
short you are.
You guys are gonna see me on fucking Friday, or you're gonna see me on Saturday. I'm probably gonna sleep all Friday. You're gonna see me Saturday. I'm gonna like come in. I'm gonna look so happy, but I'm gonna look so tired, guaranteed. I'm gonna be like, "What's up,
Dark circles
guys?"
under your eyes, but a fake smile.
I'm just gonna, it's just gonna be like like it's gonna be great. I'm just so excited. Like I know it's the like, but like I don't think people understand, man. Like, oh, what's up? $17. Oh, you want vape stuff?
This is
Stressed for what? It's a movie.
I'm stressed. My feelings are gonna be haywire.
If Ant-Man doesn't kill Thanos by going up his ass and expanding,
I'm gonna be
then
pissed.
my life is ruined.
You know, Jose, don't worry. I got you. Don't.
we'll make like a fake version of it.
Are we gonna go to Harkins or are we gonna go to AM? Harkins. Okay.
Closest one.
I already know my spot. I always go to this one spot to smoke. So I got you.
So I guess this is gonna get
I don't
cut out
have
from the
switchers.
podcast.
I do cigs,
So
but
this is got to get cut out of the podcast. This isn't.
no, this is fine. Underage smoking.
Remember, kid,
Um,
don't. That's why
anyways,
they have those signs in the bathrooms.
Bathroom.
okay. I only smoke the best.
Reason why they have those signs at the bathroom that says "Don't smoke" is because the bathroom is.
But I mean, I smoke. I vape in this. Dude, it's gonna be a 3-hour movie. I'm excited as fuck. Dude, I can see Infinity
It's
War.
3 hours.
Yeah, you didn't hear?
What the?
It's a 3-hour movie
I
because
haven't
they
heard
couldn't.
anything.
Dude, they couldn't. So
Either.
you know how in movies they're like, oh man, we could only make it to 2.5 hours, or like we had to cut back a lot of footage.
Yeah.
There was so much that they couldn't cut any
Oh shit.
because
Dude,
that's how much shit goes on in this movie, dude.
this shit's crazy,
That's so
dude.
good.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
But I'm excited because I always sit there and I'm like, man, I wish that these movies were 3 hours because they're so good.
Just like get all the context possible.
Yeah. Like honestly, if they had released a Infinity War, like all of it in one movie, and it had been like
Director's
7 hours
cut.
long, I would have been like, yeah, no, I'm dope. Like I'm down. Let's go.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Marvel
I
needs
kind of
to
want,
make a bundle where like every fucking movie that's
dude. It's gonna. We're gonna be older, and our kids are gonna be like, what was the biggest thing of your time? And I'm just gonna reach on top of like on the top shelf. I'm gonna pull down Infinity War and Endgame as the bundle, and I'm gonna hold it in front of them, and I'm gonna be like,
What
these
about Big
movies.
Chungus?
Okay, Big Chungus too. I'll have a poster. I'm gonna hold the DVDs and be like, these two movies destroyed the world and rebuilt it. Wait, say what the fuck did you say?
Just pull yourself out a picture of yourself.
But dude,
I was
these
just
two
like,
movies have
This is the reason why.
these
they
two
call
movies
it
have
the
torn
universe.
apart in hatred, but then somehow managed to come back together for Endgame. Infinity
Is it
War
really?
made the entire world cry to the stars.
Is it really worldwide? I thought it was like
Oh,
mostly just
guaranteed,
America.
dude. No, not America. Infinity War reaches farther than just America, dude. It reaches
Europe as
around
well.
the fucking globe, guaranteed.
Damn.
Yeah,
Also Europe. China is banned.
yeah. A lot of shit that we release is banned in China because it's not good.
I mean, talking about
Fucking
the China
commies.
stuff, Top Gear, they made a China thing and
Did
they
you
like
know that?
killed
Oh,
important
sorry.
Those
Chinese.
Chinese characters.
I destroyed
Go
Phoenix
Ian.
Farm. Wong ends up being an endgame. If it is, then I'm
So
really so happy.
you guys want to know something? You guys want to know something really cool that like I just realized? So do you know how Stan Lee became like how he became such a great movement forward in the comic industry? Not true, but okay. So when he was first like when he was writing Spider-Man, there was a thing where, you know, where it was really edgy content, and then you had to get this stamp of approval from the government that said it friendly to all people, right? And it was good content. And so for a long time, a lot of comics, you know, they were just kind of shitty, if we're gonna be honest. And Chris just muted himself. And so all this shitty content, you know, it wasn't shitty, but friendly. And then Stan Lee one day was like, I can't work within this boundary. And so he was like, you know what? I'm going to test something out. And his boss,
Someone came
yeah,
in.
his boss was like, okay, go ahead. I trust you. And he released it and nothing happened. The world was completely fine with it. And then, yeah, and then realistically they weren't. And so then all the other comic book industries started doing it. And then basically government was like, okay, fine. This is what has to happen. You don't have to do it, but if you want to do it so that you can kind of have this age-friendly comic book for stricter parents
The
or for
proper
kids that
stamp.
can so that kids can buy it, then go ahead. You can totally do that. But if it doesn't have the stamp, then a kid can't buy it, right? And so the comic book industry was like, fine. You want to know something really cool though? The
They
Spider-Verse
sold
movie
it.
had the stamp. So technically, one of the like the movie that was released right after Stan Lee died, the first movie that was released after had the stamp of approval. And it was, and to me that's really cool because like that's like he did so much. He risked his career to make it so that everything he's created was possible. And then this stamp kind of was like a good farewell. You know, it wasn't like a negative thing, but it was more just like a good farewell. You know, let's remind everyone of what you did, of what you created. And I don't know. I know that sounds like really far off, but I feel like that.
It makes sense.
That makes sense. I understand.
But I didn't even know about any of that, dude. You know all the fucking history about this shit. I like never even read any of the OG comic books.
To be honest, it's just because of the comic book class. Like it's taught me so much. Like I'm polygamous, and fun fact, Wonder Woman is actually based off of two. So there's two psychologists, and he made this character named Wonder Woman, and it was based off of his technic, him and his wife's like sex life, to be honest. That's what
What
she
the
was, and
fuck?
it was a polygamous relationship. And like her shackles on her wrist, right? Her what she deflects bullets with, those are based off of what she was shackled with, right? Those were her shackles whenever they would strap her down, right? And then her lasso of truth, right? You know, being tied down. And when she first came out, she was always put into these situations where it was a really sexual kind of thing where she'd be tied down and then this man would be talking down to her essentially, right? And he would be, yeah, kind of like BDSM, but then she would break free. She would break free of of the ties and all of that, and then she would defeat her opponent, and then she would come out on top. And so it was this like really like um, story about kind of how a female shouldn't be strapped down by a negative male influence, if that makes sense, right? That's the way I take it, at least. But I've never liked Wonder Woman, which is really funny. I've always found her to be a bland character. But what's funny is I should like connect so much to her because she's a polygamist. She's based off of polygamous ideals, and I'm polygamous, so I should be like, oh, yeah, polygamy, love it, great. But I don't. I just don't like the character. I don't know. But yeah, that's like
Actually,
that's where she came from. I only
funny
learned
enough,
that because of this comic book class.
And that was another lesson, another history lesson about comic books from Harrison. You get
I
fired
got
for
so
second
much.
segments.
All of the segments are on.
Yes.
I'm the universe, not Jose.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
no.
Okay.
Universe relates to
I'm sorry,
size,
my bad.
not mag.
At most, your own solar system with
Okay,
everything else
I'll accept
is
that.
universe.
Funnily enough, I think Wonder Woman's only one of her only was being tied.
By her own whip, or what?
Was it?
Tied her
Yeah, no, I think
down.
it was. Yeah, and also like main weakness, and so she'd be tied down, and then that's when the man would talk, and then somehow she'd
Basically,
break free.
if you
It was
if
basically
you
BDSM. That was BDSM.
all you have to do to beat Wonder Woman is pull out a no you card, a reverse card.
Shit.
Sorry.
Fucking if if we want to talk about polygamy, I got another history lesson for you guys that was shocked.
Up next is our polygamy lesson, also done by Harris, because
Okay,
I don't know anything about that. I literally just googled it.
so polygamy actually comes from like a lot is a Latin term. Actually, you're almost correct. Polygamy comes from a Latin term which is many lovers, right? Many loves, essentially. And so it's basically the idea of having think about Mormonism, but less shitty. We don't in the polygamy community we don't really offense Mormons, you know, be God great with you. But and then monogamy is what we generally practice in society. One it's like one lover, right? So you only have one love, for instance, right? And it's the idea of two people should come together and make a family, and then they should, you know, raise their kids together, right? Only those two people should raise their kids with
Only
minimal
like
outside. Back in the 1980s, not 1990s, but 1980s, there was a free love movement. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about it because it's what a lot of people reference back in the 80s. You know, during this time there was a lot of drugs. This is also when it was drugs, not just coke. It was coke, acid, shrooms, fucking weed, all of it.
Introduced
Um,
earlier, like
it was the 70s and 80s, but 70s was a lot more tame than the 80s. The 80s, that's where the free love movement came from, and I believe it was the 80s at least, and that's also when Charles Manson kind of did his whole reign, right? And he's actually the reason why a lot of people look so negatively towards hippies, especially during that time, because he was in this Nazi family, or not Nazis, hippies family, and he was controlling them and manipulating them. And so people were like, is this what the hippie movement has come to? You know, murdering people, going into their homes and hating on pigs and the police and stuff. And that's that's a side note though. And so in the 1980s, the free love movement came out, and that was a big time of polygamy, right? And so people would sleep with whoever they came across, right? You would take acid together, you would dance, you would sing, you would sleep with each other, then you'd move on to the next companion, right? Whatever it was. It was in a general sense, it was a very loving community, but at the same time, that's when a lot of, honestly, STDs and stuff came about because they got transferred really easily.
Hmm.
Um,
like
but
really loved
polygamy,
everybody.
yeah. But polygamy didn't start in the 1980s. We as a culture, as a society, and as a creature, I guess is what you could say, a race, as a race, we are actually polygamous creatures. We are not monogamous creatures. Back when we first came about, we were very polygamous. We were polygamous, in fact. Um, Essentially, what would happen is it was similar to the idea of the babies would. So think about like a circle, and in the center is where the babies would be. The babies, the kids, and all the ones that weren't old enough to fight yet. And so they would be in this. They would be in the very center, and they would be surrounded by you know the females and some males, and they would be taken care of by most of the adults in the middle, right? And on the outskirts would be the gatherers and the hunters and all and the protectors. And so in the circle you would have a bunch of patrols essentially who would spot a threat from far away and then warn down the chain of command so that the babies were protected in a tight circle so that they were the last things to be found. And so then so that's kind of like how the community worked. What would happen. It was a very polygamous culture, and there was no, oh, you're my kid. You're a kid of the community.
You're
And then,
explaining polygamy in a
Like more like
different way
animals.
now than initially, because at first, when people normally think polygamy, the only thing they think about is many wives or many husbands. It's just
yeah,
they don't really think of it that way that you're describing right now, which is also
And open to
a system for a child.
yeah, it was our
Also different.
societal structure. It's how where we got to where we are right now, for instance. Um, and so but then as we kind of got where we settled and we started making villages and whatnot, and we started becoming more progressive, I guess is what you could say. We invented fire, we invented beer, we invented tobacco and all of that, right?
the
But
wheel.
tobacco was actually a little bit later on.
Wheel is the important thing.
Yeah, alcohol was actually one of the first things that were created. And so when that all started to happen and we started to settle down, we became more intelligent. Suddenly, this weird worldwide idea, not really worldwide, but for the most part worldwide, idea came about where um, the mother and the father of a child should raise the child. And so that's where families came. And so from then on, you had a shift in societal structure to where it was no longer about keeping all of the kids alive and keeping them all safe. It was about keeping kids alive and keeping your kids safe. And it became a very selfish community in a sense.
I
Uh,
understand that, but we still have place that kind of work like what you were describing, like
yeah, almost right. So
police
like daycare.
officer, firefighters, things like that. They're there to protect in case anything happens, and daycares as well. There to
Yeah,
take care of your child when you're not
we
able to.
Public
we still
schools.
have
Hello.
that, sure. And schools as well, and but for the most part, when you look at a city, what do you see?
People's individual homes. Fucking
Yes,
big ass
very
apartments.
yeah, big ass apartment buildings with walls keeping off families from all other families. Houses that are kind of like, no, this is my house, that's my neighbor, but I have nothing to do with it, right? And it's a very
I don't
this is
care
my
if I hear
family,
screaming
this
from
is all I
the
will
next.
trust, and this is all I will care about. My friends, they're great, but my family comes first. And all so separated by these walls for the most.
Teen.
But then for instance, when you're kids, you go to school and you make friends and you make these lifelong friends that go on with you. What happens when you turn into an adult? Why are none of our parents' friends coming over anymore and still acting like they did when they were kids? Because at the end of the day, families come first, so providing for your family and protecting them comes first. Is that such a negative thing? Not necessarily. But it's also the difference between why our society is so broken, if you ask me.
It feels like it's
This is
getting
no
worse.
longer a history. Now that I think about it, the history lesson's not over. This is my opinion, I guess, but um, I personally believe that the walls separating us from our neighbors and from everyone else around us is one of the main reasons, not the main reason, but one of them as to why the society is so broken at this.
I don't know, like you're saying, but I would have to disagree with that. I like the place because such a system makes one rely too much on others, and some form of individualism is necessary to make societies thrive.
See,
That's why we have evolved past that.
I slightly agree with that, but I don't. So it's kind of like how when, with for instance, the education, big debate with the education system, right? Which is that when the education system was first installed, it was a masterpiece. It was beautiful. It was perfect, essentially, because what it needed to do, it did, and it got everything done that we needed to do, and it was doing everything perfectly. We went from, most people being illiterate to everyone being able to pick up a book and, for the most part, read it, which is what we needed. But nowadays, it almost feels like we're falling behind with the education system. That's not a negative connotation at all. I'm not saying school sucks, right? Everyone would say that. I don't like school, sure, but I would never say that it's not necessary. It needs to evolve, though, right? And not in the way that that one guy did that video, right? With the classroom. Classrooms don't matter. That's not what's gonna. The way that we go about it needs to evolve. And it's the same way with individualism. Individualism, for a long time, even in a philosophy standpoint, was pushing society, pushing progression. No one's going to listen to this and care now that I think about it.
Mm,
But um,
it's
it's going to
interesting.
push it. It's going to push it off, or it did. But nowadays, we're back at this standstill. We have too much individualism where everyone cares too much about me, I. And you can even see it in the Gen Z kids, right? No hate on the Gen Z kids, but I'm just saying that for the most part, as time has gone on, you have these more selfish kids that turn into more selfish adults. And it's a really weird thing to look at because a lot of us just feel like it's just what society, but granted, that's not what it is. The difference between our parents when they were kids and the difference between us when we're kids is so much different. And it's just because we need to evolve in a new way again. Because through the entire time that we've gotten to this point, we've just been evolving and evolving and evolving. Fucking government systems have been evolving. The way that we learn has, the way that we act around each other. But then suddenly, you get to the 20th century and then to the 21st century, and it all stops. Everything just goes to a standstill, and we're staying the same, and we're wondering what's wrong. And what's wrong is we're not changing things. Change is good because it pushes more and more and more different mindsets and different points of views on things.
And just advancements in general.
Yeah, and advancements. Without change, you can't make an advance, right? What's the famous quote by Einstein? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. With what we're doing right now, we're not changing. I said this in a poem. We're not changing the root. We're snipping off branches of this tree. But at this point, we need a new fucking tree. We need to dig up that fucking root, throw it away, and plant a new. We need a new thing to sprout and give us new ideas and give us points of views on things. Things are supposed to change.
Damn. Damn, dude. You're too fucking smart.
I like to agree with most of that statement. Education system worked because
It doesn't work
um
anymore. No. It doesn't work.
I mean, like,
It worked before.
didn't work like that. It worked back then. Because in reality, I forget the statistics, but a large portion of Americans in the 1900s were uneducated, and
By the 1900s, it was already out.
1900s, like the early 1900s at least, the large majority of Americans weren't illiterate. Only the upper class were, and
Well, yeah, in the upper class.
education wasn't accessible. Changed later. At what years like exactly, but it wasn't perfect that early on.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it when it first came about,
It's perfect.
nothing.
It was just about
That's
money
not. Yeah. Well, nowadays it's
or
especially.
your position in the society. If
Um,
you're upper class, you
but when it first came about, it definitely shifted to a point where it could move forward. Right? It was people were able to, like, for instance, when the Bible came out and it got all of that. No offense to anyone who is religious, but when the Bible was first translated into a readable language by fuck, what was his name? Martin Luther. It was Martin
Was
Luther.
the
Yeah, it was
one
Martin
who
Luther.
wanted to make the Bible
Yeah. No, wrong Martin Luther.
Martin Luther.
um,
Yes,
we all yell at Jose.
Martin Luther King
But
wrote the
when Martin Luther translated it from, I believe it was Latin or was it Roman?
into common.
Yeah, it was from Latin to Common, which was at the time Old English. Was it? It was either Old English or it was.
It was just depending on the region, really.
Yeah. He translated it to all different, right? And the reason why is because the people that could actually read it were the pastors. Well, everyone else,
Cool.
the commons, couldn't read it. So the pastors were like, okay, well, the Bible says that you have to give me money. You have to pay me because I'm a man of God. And the only way to prove that you are loyal to me is to pay me so that I can live properly and I can live with abundance. And then you will be blessed, right? And if you committed a sin, you had to pay money for your sin. It was like a tax. And so then Martin Luther was like, this shit's bullshit. And he translated it. And then people were like, well, that's not what the Bible says at all. And then people were able to, and that's all because the education system came out. People were able to read finally. And then they read and they were like, well, the church has been fucking me up the ass for the past fucking 80,000 years. And so then that's when shit really changed with the church. And then I believe Martin Luther was almost sentenced to death, but then he was just exiled because of it. Because the king was also working with the church to kind of push these ideals so that he would get
Basically
you
controlled
bring up
everything, including the king.
Wait, say again? Sorry, Chris has something else trying to say.
Yeah, it's just the church mostly including the
Yeah.
king. The king was
It wasn't until technically very recent in general time. It was only until generally recent that the church separated from state. And it was mainly because of all that going on. Like, when we finally got a king that was reasonable, he was finally like, no, the church is no longer a part of state, or the kingdom. They are their own separate place, while we are our own separate place. And it was interesting time because a lot of people.
democracy works.
Yeah.
The people get to vote and the people to make the rules, pretty much, technically.
At that time, that was still an empire. I don't remember what that.
Nowadays, like
Yeah. Nowadays, it's very democracy related, which is, oh, you want this law? Then vote for it. The presidency is not very, but we are, because all we do is we vote who we want to represent us in the government, and then that's called the
republic,
college.
isn't it?
The what's it called? The electoral college, right? And the electoral college are the people that would vote for the president is. But we vote to put them in the electoral college. So technically, we do vote for the president, other than your little, oh, I vote for Hillary Clinton, or I will vote for Obama. I'm not going to mention Trump. That doesn't realistically realistically, that doesn't actually
in
count.
Hillary either.
Realis- Realistically, that doesn't actually count. That little vote you do, what counts is who you vote into the electoral college.
Not really. Your vote counts.
Okay, it does, but
The
in a
electoral
general
college,
sense,
the people who handle the electoral college, they do have the right to normally it doesn't happen, but they can do that. What
Damn.
matters is how many people in your area vote,
yeah,
because college is designated by region. I don't know exactly which ones, but it works that way. So
Is
the
it Colorado?
majority,
Like,
it's mostly
it's
Democrat,
essentially so
Colorado.
every section that has a representative is separated into a liberal or a Republican standpoint. I believe that's or a Democrat and a Republican, right? That's what the two things.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a Democratic or a Republican state, right, or section of the state. For instance, here in Texas, in Dallas, I believe it is a very um, Republican, as in I want to say, as in Rockwall is very Democratic, but Texas in all is a very Republican state. No, wait. Okay,
I think Texas might be one of the mixed ones because
yeah, because it's so big,
I gotta
and there's
check.
so many. Because northern and southern Texas think very, because the Bible Belt runs right through the middle of um, of Texas.
Shit, dude. You guys know too much. Well, not too much, but it's good to have all this knowledge. But I just don't know. I can't keep up with you guys. Like, what the fuck
Dude,
is the
It's okay, Chris. Don't worry.
Bible Belt or what?
Oh, it fucking did, didn't it? I don't
um,
even know how we got to here.
conversation. I'd like to keep going.
Dude, how long have you been recording?
Is
Shit.
it of you wanting stuff to chill out isn't really good for the
Dude,
chicken.
me and Ian Loki just got in like a heated debate for a second, and then we,
It wasn't heated.
well,
I
like,
was calm
Just giving off.
yeah,
debate.
it was a discussion. We had like how long? 52 minutes, dude, and like 30 minutes of that was just me. Shit.
Just sharing your opinions.
That's right.
Good.
We got into it from polygamy camera.
Oh yeah.
I love how much we stray off. But to finish off on the electoral college, basically, say the majority of the state votes Democrat, but because more regions were turned over by Republicans, like let's say this little region, more Republicans voted. This region ends up getting an electoral vote.
Okay.
What happens then is like you have your electoral vote. That that's basically what counts. Like it doesn't matter. Like the whole state, like the whole majority of the state says voting for this person, a Democrat.
Yeah.
Electoral votes, because there are more regions where more people ended up like voting Republican, ended up getting a Republican what is it, electoral vote,
Yeah.
then the whole state counts as voting for that. So like, all of those electoral votes go there. So your vote does count by region. So
Yeah.
let's
It's
say
not so like
let's say let's say you
your one
vote
vote doesn't go. Okay, so
you live in a very
Obama just got
Republican
one
area.
vote on his counter, and that's you. No, it's more of every, like, so there's an amount of points given to each region, and whatever that region, like, it's by a percentage basis. That like the higher percentage puts that number of points from that region, like the amount of points that that region has, into that president. That's why whenever you look at like presidencies, like, here, let's go look up the most recent. God fucking help us.
You were confusing me a little
Hillary,
bit, but now I know what you meant by region.
Hillary won the popular vote, but Trump got elected because of the electoral college.
Yeah, because she was at the top time. Um, so really,
Fucking
so
memes.
the poll tracker for Hillary versus Trump was 46% Hillary plus 3%, and then uh, or because she was plus 3% over Donald Trump, which was 43%. Where the fuck he jumped, I can't remember, but I just know that out of nowhere he jumped the lead and he ended up winning. That's all. Because I remember going into it, everyone was confident in that day. Everyone was confident, like during the daytime, they're like, "Oh yeah, she's in the lead." And then when everything was going down, it was looking really good. And then suddenly, boom, he got a couple more states out of nowhere. The states shifted into a red. Yeah, literally that night it happened. It wasn't even overnight. Um,
The thing is that this sounds like it's gonna lead into the whole Russian assistance theory, and
no,
I
no, no,
like
no. That's not what I'm trying.
hoping it doesn't, because like I hate that theory the most.
Dude, I don't know enough about
Hate
that
wanting
shit to have an entire
Conspiracies.
podcast dedicated.
I
I'll do my
I hate
study.
theory for the fact that believe somebody cheated, and how dumb it must be to cheat that way.
Yeah, it would
Uh,
be really. Um,
we need we need we need a conspiracy theory channel of Obama.
oh god, no.
Carson video. It's like that one Carson video where they're like saying like, what if there was like an Obama channel for like every type of content?
Oh yeah.
You know what pisses me off?
Dawson
You know what
Obama
pissed me off about Donald Trump's his what was
presidency.
it? His not his entire presidency. Um, it was the thing that he reads, like thing that the president reads right when they get elected. What is that called?
Inauguration. Not
Yeah,
the
his
inauguration.
inauguration. That's right. Pissed me off about the inauguration. Every president has a rough basis of what they're supposed to say, right? There's a specific scripture that they're supposed to say from the Bible. Well, what pissed me off about it was that he read the scripture, and in the scripture, it said that America should basically have open borders to that we as a race, as a society, should stand together and push each other forward, not backwards. Then
Oh,
Trump comes in
he's wanting to
and
close the border.
he reads that, right? He reads the scripture. And then after he's done with the scripture bit, and his own little bit's like, we need to raise all the borders. We as America are greater than the rest of the world. And he didn't say that word for word. Don't take that all word for word. But for the most part, that's what he was saying. We should close the
Nationalism.
borders. And it was a difference of night and fucking day of the different opinions of the scripture and what he had to say. And despite the fact that I don't care about the Bible, I don't. It's an amazing piece of fiction literature to me. But that's just what it is to me. Fiction. Don't care. Right. Other than that, I'm sorry, but I'm an atheist. So. But despite the
Yes.
fact, as a president,
Now
I'm
I'm
sorry, I might
just
have a
sitting
little.
here like I wouldn't say completely fictional. Jesus, Louise, live.
I'm sorry, but um
Like you don't believe
uh,
he walked on
and
the
so
water, bro? Come on.
there's a reason why
Believe in aliens, but they
there,
say that Jesus walked on water.
guys, there's a reason why that piece of scripture is in front of your inauguration because it's supposed to remind you of what America stands. When you look at America and you start thinking we're really similar to old Britain, who we literally split off because they were old Britain, there's a fucking reason as to why we split off from them. We cannot become them. That is not what we should do at all. I'm sorry, that got a little bit passionate towards the end, but I'm just
You're
Don't worry about it.
American. It's okay.
But when
like
they did become more open border, they got fucked over by all the
Fucking screw it,
refugees.
dude. Fucking screw it.
Seeing the Cuban immigration, that was huge.
The what? Oh, fucking
It's
get
good.
them out of my country, damn it. No, okay, I'm kidding. Um,
I believe that immigrants are great, hardworking people, and we should have more of them. The only problem I have with it is just way that they just the problem is just a few of them ruin it for the rest. But not only that, it's just the fact that are here, let's say in the U.S. for now, and they have enough money to basically afford the things to become a citizen, living their life as they are. Like they could become a citizen, but then once they get like found out and get deported, everybody like I don't mind immigrants being in the U.S. I am an immigrant myself, but you are
Wait,
at
what?
the point where you can legally become a. I'm technically an immigrant.
That's that's a biased opinion. Your opinion is now mute. Just kidding.
that's a joke.
No, what I mean is just like
That weak laugh said
the
it
the
all.
the the immigrants are great. We need immigrants. They move this country. It's just dumb that we're shutting them out like we are, but we also need control. Is what I mean. We can't just have
Okay,
because then the systems that we have in place not falling apart but becoming pretty much useless. Enough time to adapt and that quickly at the rate that immigrants are immigrating, like, but with some control.
okay.
Okay.
My opinion. Wait, Chris, do you want to go first?
No, I just meant okay that he's done. I'll
But
go.
do you want to? Do you want to? You can go if you want to go.
I don't really have an opinion on it, but I think he's right. Like how the government. I think the government is that it's too slow to react to things.
Yeah.
The few things that are changing, more immigrants or the new media, everything on the internet that like coming, they're just too slow and they can't react and they can't make like good laws or good.
Yeah, so big that it just hides under their shadow.
Wall is not the answer.
Yep.
I agree.
They come on a fucking plane. Fucking preach.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
another thing. Like, why would they separate families? Like, what the fuck do you want the kids separated from the parents? What are you gonna do with the kid?
Okay.
What?
Which is
What?
bullshit. Okay. Okay. Can I talk?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm going to
Yeah, go ahead.
touch on both bases here, right? Which is essentially the point of view of my own personal point of view, but also the way that I can understand the point of view of why everything is the way it is. My own personal opinion is that they keep on blaming, they keep on putting too much blame on the immigrants. The like like what Jose was saying, in order to become a full-fledged citizen of it is a very hard fucking process. One of the hardest, easily. For instance, I went to Germany and I could have gotten a citizenship like that instantaneously. I already had a visa, and all I needed to do was just stay there for a year and then been like, hey, yeah, I kind of citizen of your country, and they'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. And then all I have to do is tell America, look, I'm a primary citizen for you, but I'm only a citizen for you, right? But in Germany, I say I'm a primary U.S. citizen, but I'm a secondary German citizen, and they'd be like, that is completely okay. We don't care, and then I'd be fine, right? America is the only people that are like, no, you can only be loyal to us, which is stupid, and it's bullshit, if you ask me. Because who the fuck is coming as a primary citizen to destroy your country when they have a secondary citizenship somewhere else? At the end of the day, they are primarily reasoned to you, not to the other countries. But whatever.
Their
Whatever.
laws are still outdated, like they're trying to be in the Cold War. They think there's still spies out.
Yeah, exactly. They think that everything is just um, and so, but they're also putting too much blame on the immigrant. Where the fuck is our immigration state fucking policy? Where the fuck is our immigration transfer centers? Immigration those are so rare because there's only I can't remember where I saw it, but there was somewhere where how many there were in the country, and there is only one in every few states, which means that if you're in Texas, you have to drive to a whole nother state just to go to an immigration transfer.
There's not even one
And
person.
then you have to wait in a line. Okay. And then you have to wait in line for fucking ever. And then you have to sit there and you have to be like, yeah, so this is my argument. And then you have to be like, okay, go away. And then they have